mentions going on in his life or her life, and then the human would say, well, let me pray for you.
Right.
Maybe the
Exactly.
AI would do that too.
I think, the AI can be trained to do that, but that just feels wrong.
Right.
Well, where's the soul in that?
And there's no soul.
God answer AI's prayers? If he does, we're all in trouble.
That AI come to visit you. Whereas that person can say, well, won't you come over to the house?
Yeah.
And then that AI stuff.
Yeah,
Whereas the person is like, I'd love to take you out.
yeah,
And
yeah.
So,
So now we know the question to ask when we get that call, right? Hey, when can we meet? That's great. So at 5Q, we've been on a journey, I'd say for the last little over a year, about how should we think about AI? And I told our team over a year ago, I said, hey guys, we're a digital company. If we don't figure this out, we're going to be out of business in 3 years. That's just the reality of the world that I live in. And so as a part of that, as a part of this journey, we've developed, and we've developed and have really embraced what we call a human-first, AI-empowered approach to AI. And I'm going to just walk you through, hey, this is what it looks like at 5Q, and we have packaged that down. So what took us about 18 months to walk through, we're starting to work with ministries to actually do it in a 3-month process. So we're working with Low Worth Finding, which is a media ministry in Tennessee, and Family Research Council, FRC, helping them implement this exact process for their organizations. So what do we mean by human first? At its core, human first is not a technology policy, it's a leadership posture. I would say it's a posture of pastoral care and transparent relationships towards your staff, your clients, and your constituents. It means in a time of massive change, you're actually not just thinking about the technology, you're thinking about what are the implications, the possible implications of that technology. So your first job as a leader is to bring a sense of pastoral care, not performance management, not mandates, but actual care. So let me be very specific about what Human First looks like for us at 5Q. We identified 5 key areas, and at the end of me talking through these 5 key areas, I'm just going to give you a heads up. We're going to do a short exercise. I'm going to have each of you think through what are 1 or 2 areas. If we were to apply a human first approach, what are the 2 areas, 1 to 2 to 3 areas in our organization that we would want to be non-negotiables, that we don't want to give up? What would human first look like for our mission? Okay, so at 5Q, again, we're a technology company serving ministries, serving missions. The first thing is we've decided we're not going to replace staff directly with AI. Instead, we will choose to either retrain. So I can give you several examples. We had a front-end developer, a designer. He's really good. He's been in the industry. He's been with us for a couple years, but he's been in the industry for 15 years. Sharp guy, very strategic-minded. So rather than saying, hey, front-end development work, AI is doing a lot of that work. What used to take him 3 days can now do in about half an hour, literally. And so rather than saying, oh, we don't need you anymore, we said, hey, we've got a role of a strategic consultant. And so we're retraining him to be a strategic consultant to serve more ministries than what he was doing before. We've also created 2 new roles inside our organization. One is an AI innovator and an AI implementer. And we didn't hire from the outside. We filled those roles internally. And so we've made a commitment to no direct staff replacements. Now, I also believe clarity is kindness. And so I'm very upfront with our team. So you're not going to be replaced by AI. But if we don't get this figured out, you might be replaced by somebody who knows how to use AI. Just that's the reality of the world we live in. And just really encouraging them to, if it's an area that it can help you in your job, then let's learn. Let's learn about it. Second is we won't use it to replace relationship. And that's both internally as well as with our clients. So a couple examples of that. You mentioned the note taker. There's another AI tool out there called Loom that allows you to very quickly record what you're looking at, and then you can send it off to a person. It's just super easy to use. Some of our team was like, well, hey, we don't have to have client meetings anymore. We could just have Loom meetings, and we could just send them over, like, this is what your reports look like, here's your data. And I was like, hey guys, no, we're not going to do that. So it might be more efficient. It is definitely more efficient. But the reason we exist is to help ministries do technology well, and that happens in the context of relationship. We're a distributed company, or remote working company, and we still try to get together in person at least once a year. The reason is that there's a reason why Jesus is God incarnate. There's a reason why Jesus came to be flesh and blood in person. And yeah, go ahead.
I would say without Loam, in addition to that, what I agree with you is that people just do not need. They will not read, communications will be missed. So I agree with you on that.
On the reading, I mean, there's a whole cultural change. There's a book written by an IMB mission agency about how we are, first world countries are reverting back to third world countries in terms of we're becoming an audible culture rather than a reading culture. And you make a really good point. Yeah. Now, we will use, I said, let's use AI to be able to send Loom videos in between meetings, or let's use, we use Fathom like you're using Otter, and that is, I'll share a little bit more. That's transformed our project manager, our account executives. Like, it used to be they were in meetings and they were really focused on taking notes and making sure they get the right actions. Well, now with Fathom, they don't have to take in a single note. They can be more engaged, so they're actually giving more human connection in the meeting. And then afterwards, what used to take them 30 to 45 minutes to wrap up and assign to tasks, well, they can get the summary, and then it automatically creates the tasks. They can review them, say, yes, that's the right people, hit a button. It automatically goes into our task management system. It creates the tasks in our task management system, creates the details, links to the conversation when that task was happening, so the person who's going to do it can go directly back to the actual conversation. So it's actually doing a better job of writing tasks than when the human was doing it, and it frees them up, like instead of 45 minutes, it only takes them about 10 minutes to be able to do that work. And so we've seen that. So that's where you're using AI to augment, to write the scripts, but you're still using the humans to have the real impact. And it's actually allowing us to have more impact with our clients than what we had in the past. Yeah.
If you're using AI in a meeting, you're having a conference meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and you got some personal stuff that you need to talk about in that meeting, is that a danger of that personal information getting out on the web?
Great question. So is it danger for the personal things that you talk about in a meeting to get out on the web, or that could be like anything with AI, right? Like if AI is taking notes. If you're using a paid version, no. You don't have to worry about that. The flip side of that, I like to think about, in a boardroom, sometimes the board will go into executive session where they dismiss everybody, and I would say we'll hit pause. If this is an executive session that nobody outside of these walls should learn about, we'll just hit pause on the AI tool. And we're not concerned that it'll get on the internet. It won't, but it will be available internally, potentially. And so hitting pause is always a good thing to do.
Chad, I mean, there's also, when you do the paid version, you're also able to put some privacy settings on it, so it doesn't get out.
Correct. Yeah. We'll talk about that in the privacy, number 5. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Tish just had a cybersecurity class, so she should be up here teaching this. But we're not going to replace relationships. Oops. Human ownership. This is a big thing too, because in the example I gave earlier about the phone call donor, like you had no idea if that was AI or not. And I guess that's the transparency piece. We want to be transparent with the organizations that we are using AI. So we included it in our terms of service. I've started to write more blog posts, and I'm not a writer, but I feel like I have good ideas to be able to present. And so AI is like freeing me up. I can talk into a voice message for about 3 minutes, and it takes that and it creates a draft of a blog post for me. And then what would take literally 4 or 5 hours for me to craft that, now I still spend about an hour changing, readjusting, and making sure that it's my voice. I still spend an hour and a half. But the blocker of looking at a blank page, or a blocker of knowing this is going to be a half day for me to write one post because I'm not a writer, it is like it's freeing. It's like giving me a voice that I've never had before.
Or even losing some of the key thoughts before you can articulate them.
Yeah.
Because if you can say them quick
Yep.
enough for it to capture it,
Yep.
that's a good framework.
Yep. On the human ownership, this was an area where like we found some of our team members saying, well, AI says this, especially when we're talking to our clients. Well, AI says this. And we're like, guys, it's fine that we're using AI, but if we're going to be recommending something to our clients or even internally, we have to vet it enough that we're taking ownership for what we're presenting. We can't use a scapegoat. Oh, AI is telling us to do this. We need to bring the one thing that each of us have that AI doesn't have is judgment. Taking the years of experience that we have in the judgment and context, and we need to bring that to the table in our interactions with AI. And so because initially I had like, a human needs to review everything. Well, when our programmers who are typing and writing a lot of code, like they're not going to review what used to take them like 3 months to build a custom web app, we can now do in a week. They're not going to review every line of code, but they still need to be taking ownership for the output that the AI is doing for that. And so, and then the fifth thing is privacy. So for us, privacy means we're not going to disclose any, in the industry it's called PII, personal identifiable information, into models that can be used to train models. If you have an internal, like you talked about an open or closed, like if you have a closed system, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but think in your mind, are you using a free version of AI like ChatGPT or Claude, or are you using a paid version? If you're using a free version, you are the currency. They are learning from you for the entire. If you're using a paid version, you can choose to say, no, I don't want this data to go out. I want it to keep it locally so nobody else can see it. And you're not going to, you can tell it, don't use my data to be able to train your models. Go to Tish and then Ernie. Tish had her hand up first and then, yeah.
That's fine, sorry. And I was gonna say, if we do have the paid version, but even within the paid version, it's not end-to-end encrypted, so you really still have to be very careful when you make those settings. I just wanna say that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, with the data controls, because I have a data privacy protection thing on mine as well, but really always best if you identify if you're going to use any of that information to generate any type of information out of AI. So just wanted to put a plug in that.
Like, don't take your donor database and dump the entire donor database. You want to autonomize it, remove the emails, autonomize it if you're going to use it in the name so that they can't personally identify. Ernie.
I don't need you, she just answered the question.
Perfect. Great. Like I said, hey, Tish should be up here teaching, leading.
Now,
That's great.
WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted. So meaning that whatever information you put in there, that stays contained right there. So like that's the software that stays there. But
So when you look at a website, sometimes you see the little padlock right by that means it's encrypted. It's end-to-end encrypted. And that's what she's talking about.
Take it with a grain of salt. It was created by the CCP.
That's dangerous.
Just so you know. And then sold to others.
CCP.
China's Communist Party. WhatsApp. Encrypted.
Oh, yeah.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Chad,
Marilyn.
so you said something too before, Tisha, and I'm trying to still understand. Okay, when AI called that donor,
Mhm.
they have access to the donor information. but you can autonomize it through the software, is that what you're saying?
So they obviously did not autonomize it because they're using the actual data.
Yeah, they
But I'm guessing that those companies that are providing that, they're saying, hey, it's closed only you, like the way the AI works, it has to be trained on lots and lots of data to know how to give good answers. And if you're using a free version, AI will actually be using your interactions with AI to train their models. So if you're using a paid version, you'll have access to be able to say, I don't want my data to be used to train models. And so I'm guessing that those companies are like, hey, we're not using that data to train models. It's secure, it's safe, and sometimes you can actually do a completely closed. It's called a sovereign AI, where you install it computers inside of your office, and the internet can't even access. So you can. There are ways to make sure that none of that can get out on the internet. So like, and for missionary organizations, that's huge because like that's a life and death thing. If some people get out there, and so like I mentioned IMB earlier, they're for as huge of a mission agency as they are, they're actually on the cutting edge on a lot of these things. But their system is completely closed, and so they have to guarantee that information won't get out there. Yeah.
You're
David.
talking about closed systems and training models. You're still training the localized model, but you're not training the source model.
That's a great question. So is training happening? Yes. The training is happening inside of my personal account and inside of our company account. Like it's learning about me, it's learning about the company, but that training is not happening with OpenAI or Anthropic as a whole. It's not happening to train the model so that other organizations will be able to see that. It's still local to you. Yeah, good distinction. So now, one other thing about that. So I mentioned earlier I've been using IronClaw to like this autonomous agent. And I found, especially the first couple weeks, I was feeling a lot of pressure. Hey, this is a good idea, and maybe we should be doing this. And then I might send it on to a team member. Hey, what do you think of this? Should we be doing it? And all of a sudden, I was flooding my entire team with things that I was not applying our principle of human ownership to. I was not reading through and realizing if this was determining, just using discernment, is this a good idea or not? And I felt pressure, like, oh man, these are good ideas. We need to be acting on these. And so we're gonna be entering a world. If you haven't felt it yet, you will. We're going to feel the pressure to move at the speed of agents, or at the speed of AI. And I'm encouraging us, as I've been thinking about this, we need to be moving at the speed of wisdom. And when you think about wisdom, data, like information, is an important part of wisdom. But then you have to have understanding of what that information says before you act upon it. And I think if you apply that same principle to the things that we're feeding from AI, like do not act on it unless I understand what it's saying and I give some thought to what the implications are. And we have to be comfortable with moving at the speed of wisdom. And that's going to be different for every person, and that's going to be different for every organization. And that's okay.
Spider-Man rule.
What's the Spider-Man rule?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Great power comes, great responsibility. That's good. So that's something I've been thinking. So this is another example. I was thinking about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and mentioned it in a conference, in a talk. This talk I gave like 3 weeks ago. Then I used AI to create a blog post. So if you go to our website, you can see a few more deeper thoughts on what I've been thinking about as far as moving, the importance for us as leaders to move at the speed of wisdom, not at the speed of agents or at the speed of AI.
And Scripture says that as well, with wisdom, with all that getting, also get understanding.
Yeah. Proverbs, like it's knowledge. With knowledge is understanding. Yes, AI can give us the knowledge.
With knowledge comes wisdom, and then wisdom also
Once you identify what is human, so I want each of you to ask the question: what does human first look like in our mission? Not just for me personally, but for your organization. And once you've identified what human first looks like, codify it. Like we built an AI vision and strategy document, and then we use that. It actually flowed into our AI policy eventually. So take a moment right now. Like, what does human first look like inside of your organization? Just
Internally or externally?
both, but I want organizationally, not personally. So what does, like if you were to be writing an AI policy and you want to adopt a posture of human first, what would be an element that you would want to say, human first for us looks like this? What's one or two things that come to mind after a little bit of what I shared?
Well, I have to say, like even a lot of implementations, especially like we do use AI for some things. One thing AI will not replace is when we begin communicating. That person reaches out to our RFA form, we respond personally, and then we based on the responses we got. And so as that physically, the person's out there on the phone, physically it's not speaking and
Yeah.
it's not communicating.
So you're using AI for the input and for processing the input, but when it comes to connecting with the client or connecting with the person, you're going to actually have humans there. Yeah, that's great. So you're not, so human first for you means you're not going to give up the human connection. And when we were working with one organization, they're like, I don't like the word human first because we want it to be human first, human in the middle, and human at the end. And I said, that's great, that's right. And in essence, that is a proper posture, and you want to use AI to be able to augment and make it more efficient. Yeah.
Well, in each step of your strategy, when you're making decisions, it's human first.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
a human first moment.
Yeah.
You go a little further, this is, and it's always human first in all the decisions you're making as to whether or not you posture the AI elements into it.
It's a mindset. What you just described is a mindset of a human first mindset. Yeah.
For me, I don't speak for the whole organization, but I look at it as trust. Human first is trust because we see each other, we make contact with each other. That's something we can trust. AI is something we don't see. It operates out there in wherever. And at the same time, though, it's something that's built by humans. So how much human is the AI compared to an actual physical being?
That brings up I have another talk that I give, how do we think biblically about